All right, so this is our second day of point slope. I hope you guys had a good time with those first two sections on writing an equation in point slope form and graphing using point slope form. Just a little reminder, point slope form is y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. These are always going to be subtraction. If you want to change them to addition, you have to do keep, change, change. And this y right here is the y coordinate. This is the x coordinate, and here's the slope. You will always have y and x right there. So let's go on to example 3, where they're asking us to use 2 points to write an equation. So they give us 2 points here. What is the equation in point slope form of the line shown below? Well, we have this little graphic organizer that tells us what to do. You need the slope first. Okay, so it says start with the slope formula. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. But I actually have a quicker way. Since we already have the graph, let's just find the slope using these 2 points. So I have to go up 1, 2, 3. So I went up 3, so rise 3. It's a horrible 3, but you understand. And then we go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So our slope is 3 over 6, which is 1/2. So I already have my slope. I don't have to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, how do I know that 1 over 2 is correct? If I take this point right here and I go up 1 over 2, I should land back on the line, and I do. Up 1 over 2, land on the line. Up 1 over 2, land on the line. Up 1 over 2, land on the line. So I know that my slope is 1/2. Next, it says use the given points to find the slope. Well, we already did that. M equals 1/2. We already know that. I just like to write it twice just for good measure. Use the point slope form. Now, here's how we use the point slope form to find out the equation of this line. All we have to do is use our slope. So I'm going to write it up here. Y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. I'm going to put in my slope for m, which is 1/2. So I'm going to write y minus something equals 1/2 x minus something. Now, look, I have 2 points. That's a 1 right there. You can pick either one to work with. I'm going to pick this one because it's 2 positive numbers. So if they're 2 positive numbers, all I have to do is put 4 here because that's my y value, and my other 4 here because that's my x value. So all I had to do was pick 1 point. So I said, I don't like this one. I'm going to pick this one. Then that's my answer. Or if you chose, hey, I like negative numbers, I don't want to use this one, I want to use this one, then it would be y minus, what's my y value? It's a 1, so y minus 1 equals, my slope is the same, parentheses x. Now look what it says, x minus 2. So we know that it's going to be x minus a negative 2. But we already know that I have to keep change that, so it's actually y minus 1 equals 1/2 x plus 2. And that's our answer. So either one of these would work. So on your test and on your homework, you could have 2 answers. You only have to put 1. Just like we have been doing, I want you to try this one on your own and see if your answer matches up with mine. Go ahead and pause it and just check in with me when you are done. Okay, so as you can see, I found the slope by just going rise over run, so I went up 7 over 3. So I got my slope, 7 over 3. Now I have to use the point slope form using either, keyword is either, 1, comma 4 or negative 2, comma negative 3. Now I already told you guys I don't like negatives, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write y minus, so here's my x1 and my y1 because I want to use this one. I don't want to use this one. So it's going to be y minus 4 equals 7 over 3 x minus 1. Now, if you're the opposite of me and you like negatives, you can go ahead and use this one as your x1 and y1. But now you have to remember that it's the opposite. So that looks like y minus 7, but you guys know it's a 1. Y minus a negative 3 would be y plus 3 equals 7 over 3. And x minus a negative 2 would actually be x plus 2. So I have two different answers. Y plus 3 equals 7 over 3, x plus 2, or x minus 4 equals 7 over 3, x minus 1. Okay, our last one. It says the table shows the amount of time Julio works and his total wages. What equation in slope-intercept form? Okay, so I'm going to circle that right away, and I'm going to point an arrow over here, which I know it's y equals mx plus b. Gives Julio's age at any time. What do the slope and y-intercept represent? So, what this means is we have to use, now this, for the reason that this is in the point slope form area of our notes is because we have to put it in point slope form before we turn it into slope intercept. So right now we first have to find the slope. So I'm just going to pick 2 points from here. These are like 2 ordered pairs. And I'm going to do 290 minus, okay, so here's my x1, here's y1, here's x2, here's y2. So I'm going to do 290 minus 130 over 15 minus 5, and I get 160 over 10, which is 16. So I know my slope is 16. So I'm going to write that up here. So m equals 16. So right now, I have this m. Now, if you guys remember from slope-intercept, the only other thing that I need left is my b. Now, the way to do that is take your slope, find any of the points on the graph that you want to use, any one you choose. I'm going to choose this one because I like working with easy numbers, and 10's an easy number to work with. So I'm just going to plug this in. I'm going to plug this into my point. I'm going to plug this point in and this slope into point slope form. So it's going to be y. Here's my y1. Here's my x1. I'm going to do y minus 210 equals 16 x minus 10. Remember, they're the opposite, so that's why it's minus 210 and minus 10. Now, we have to get it from this form to this form. So here's what you have to do. You have to get y by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute the 16 to both the x and the negative 10, which gives me now this. Y minus 210, nothing happened over here, equals 16x plus negative 160. Okay, my last thing is I have to get y by itself, so I'm going to add 210 over. Those cross out, and I'm left with y equals 16x plus 50, and that is my answer. But it also says, what did the slope and the y-intercept represent? This right here, this 16x is the slope. That's how much money he makes per hour. The y-intercept is how much money he gets no matter what. So that's just his fixed income, A fixed income means that he gets $50 plus every hour that he works, he gets another $16 after that. Okay, so we have another table problem here. I'd like you to try it. Check in with me, pause the video, and see if you get the same answer. So as you can see, there's a lot of stuff going on, so make sure you pay attention while I explain this. So we have a table here, and we have to first find the slope just like we did in the previous problem. So I just picked 2 points. I chose the first one and the last one. I labeled this one. They are nice enough to give us the x and the y. So this was my x1, here's my x2, here's my y2, here's my y1. Over here, I found the slope. So I did 440 minus 640 over 90 minus 10, which I got negative 200 over 80, which gave me negative 2.5. So I have my slope at negative 2.5. I plugged it into my point slope form, and I picked a point, and just like I said before, I picked this point because 10 is an easy number to multiply. So I plugged in my 640 in for y1, I plugged in my 10 for my x1, and I solved for y by distributing the negative 2.5 to the x and the negative 2.5 to the negative 10. I know negative 2.5 times 1x is negative 2.5x, and I know that negative 2.5 times negative 10 is 25. So that's how I got to this part, and then all I had to do to get y by itself was to add 640. So added 640 to both sides, this cancels out, and 640 plus 25 equals 665. So I get y equals negative 2.5x plus 665. Now, what does the slope mean? And I want you to write this down. I'm not gonna write it down because it takes too long to say. But the slope, this means that the hot air balloon descends negative 2.5 meters. Notice how it says m right there, meters every second. And what does the y-intercept mean, or the 665 here? That means that that was the height that the balloon started descending at. So at its highest point, it was at 665. Then after 10 seconds, it went down to 640. After 20 seconds, after that, it went to 590, and so on. So this means that it went down negative 2.5 feet per second, and that the starting elevation was 665 feet. Make sure to ask questions tomorrow in class, and if you have any questions now, rewatch the video or check out other resources that you may have.